and welcome back to Chapter 3, Lecture 11. We continue to work with the materials and nodes, and we now focus on the organization part. And for this, we start working with the node Wrangler. This is an add-on installed already in Blender, so it's there by default. The only thing we need to do is enabling it. So it's not like the screencast add-on that we need to download it from somewhere else and then installing it. The node Wrangler is already part of Blender, and that's a great thing. It will speed up your workflow, and it has some interesting features as well. So a quick overview: organizing your nodes using the node Wrangler add-on, quick node shortkeys, curvy and straight node connection. So now we have the curvy lines, but we can change this to straight mode. Very nice if you prefer that. Name your nodes. This is all part of the organization, and framing a group of nodes in colors. So you have color frames, and how that looks like, you can see this in this sheet. On the left is our setup we created, and on the right is the Wrangler setup. And what we want to do is the displacement, because we are doing something else with that. This is a displacement that doesn't have effect that I discovered. It's still in the sheet, but you can ignore it. So let's go to Blender. It's right there. You can see I removed the displacement. For some reason, it's when you work with this bump node, this is disabled. Maybe it's going to be enabled in Blender later, but it's not there yet. So let's focus on the node Wrangler. We go to File, User Preference, and when you go to Add-ons, you can see when you type in Wrang or Wrangler, the node Wrangler is there. We click it, and now it's enabled. So what it does, it helps you organizing everything, and that's a great thing if you have a huge node tree. So before we go to start organizing this, I want to show you some shortkeys. So go to Materials, click Plus and New. So we still have our setup, but just want to experiment with some keys. I delete this, add shader principled. All right, left mouse button and put this in the surface. So what you can do, for example, add an image texture right there. You can do by clicking some shortkeys, improving the work speed. So now we click color and we put this in the base color, pretty quick. You can also click this right mouse button, control right mouse button, and put this in the frame, and it will automatically go in the top color. So you don't need to, where do I need it? It's in the top base color. You can also have options. So then you click your node, Control Shift right mouse button. Now it appears blue, and when you release it, Control Shift release it, you can pick a color or alpha from your image texture. Well, we want color, and then you can pick the input, for example, the specular. So if it's hard to read here, so here specular tint, but it's not the full name, and I can see that, well, the other ones are well named, but it's a short key that may help you in your workflow. And I want to just show you the option. So there is also a very nice short key. So if you have two image textures, you click them both, shift right mouse button, and if you click Alt right mouse button, it appears green. If you release your right mouse button, a mixed node will be there. So now you don't have to go to Add, Color, Mix. It's a nice shortkey. And in this course, we're mixing a lot of textures, so it's a nice speed up in your node tree. So I like to introduce more of the shortkeys, but first go back to the principle. So this is our material. And one of the things I really prefer during the process, I need to lower the amount of subdivisions because it needs some calculation. Let's put this back to 4, way better. So it's good to go. So for example, if we want to see our developments during the material build, and we created some mix nodes and we want to see the result of this area, we can click Ctrl Shift left mouse button and you can see a sort of a preview how it looks like if we are here, or Ctrl Shift how it looks like when it's there. It's a really nice tool to get an idea how your node tree looks like. Ctrl Shift on your color ramp, or this one is maybe more spectacular. The mix node from the normals, you can see exactly how your normal mix is there, or the bump node, and this is the real raw data of the normal map. So quick previews helps you to have a better understanding of your node tree. And if you want to go back to default, Ctrl Shift on the principles as the final node, and you're good to go. So it's up to you if you want to use it, but I can recommend this. This is one of the most features I use in the Node Wrangler, and the mix, the short key for the mix node. It's also a very good one. So, but the biggest great thing is framing the groups into so you have an organized workflow. And let's do that. So I want to select all the things that have to do with textures. So these, and I want to put these in one group. This is the specular, the roughness. This is going to be one group, and all the nodes that has to do with the normal and bump. All right, so let's start with these. B, select everything, pressing F6 and, Shift P and F6. I was a little bit too quick. F6, and what you can do is name it. So this is textures, and the color, we pick a color like orange reddish color, and you won't see the name, we're going to tweak that later. This is the specular and roughness, Shift P, F6, there it is, spec slash rough. Yips, and let's pick a white color. Yes, more white. Yep, that reminds us of white, specular. And the bump and normal, Shift P, F6, and call this nor/bump. And it's up to you if you want to pick another color. This is a setup that I prefer. Just the colors reminds me of the color they belong to. And for displacement, if you ignore some this workflow, you can use this displacement option and then make that black, so you can see in the sample. All right, so this is the framing. Was pretty quick to create. What I like to do is showing you how to name your nodes. So if we enable this tab by pressing N, and you have a label, you can call this, for example, specular, and roughness. So that is even better for your for organization. The color of the spec and roughness is a little bit grayed out. So let's click the frame and make this bigger. This helps, but it's still not really visible. So I like to change this to white. So go to File, User Preference, Themes, Node Editor, and in the theme space settings, click Text and make this white. And now, minimize this. It is really clear and visible. Size all the names. Maybe from the principal. Well, that's not a group, of course. All right, so groups, and I like to show you another thing, and that is the curvy to straight lines. So we open up the settings, and you can see node curving in the theme settings. We reduce this to 0. We have straight lines, and yeah, for some people this works better to make things visible. I prefer the curvy, but because I like things by default. But yeah, you're good to go. So this is the end of the Node Wrangler explanation. and how to speed up your organization and workflow. In the next lecture, we will focus on new shaders, the transparency and translucency. So first, I'm going into what translucency is and why this is so really cool. The magic shader in Blender. But after that, we're going to work in Blender to make that happen. We're gonna use the same sphere, but using a transparent layer to make it visible. All right, that's the end of the lecture, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.